Jonathan Lonsdale, CEO and founder of Ender, a property management software firm, is joining us. John's also a Rome customer, but also both of you are CEOs of startups, and you're successful. I'm sitting in a VC's office in San Francisco last week, and he is telling me that none of his companies that are successful, none of them don't have everybody in the same room together all the time. So I got to ask a question. As successful startup founders, what the hell are you thinking, having teams that are distributed in multiple locations? Jonathan, are you nuts, or do you not like capitalism?
I love capitalism. So, no, we believe in the hybrid work model. So we have an office here in Austin where we have around 20 people or so, but we also have around 25 remote employees throughout the country. And it works incredibly well. Like we still have like 3 on-sites per year where the team comes, but overall, like there's only marginal returns to working in person, I feel. Like if you're in person once a week versus you're in person 3 times a week versus you're in person 5 times a week, like the marginal return goes down over time. And we've utilized like the hybrid model to be really powerful for our team.
So Howard, slightly different one for you. You come into a market that's already got Slack and Zoom and Teams at a time when distributed work is being frowned upon by different people. The question for you isn't, are you a capitalist, is, are you nuts? Like, what actually stands out, and how are you guys actually differentiating in a market that's already pretty crowded, including, you know, a giant incumbent out of Seattle?
Well, let me take a step back and first say, yes, I'm absolutely crazy, because in order to start a company, you have to be fucking crazy. How many founders do we have in the audience? Do we have any crazy people? All right.
Way to go.
So we all live in this world where we're supposed to conform, and if we don't follow our neighbor, we're looked upon as like there's something wrong with us. But I'm a big believer in being different and being independent. So it's easy for me to try to come up with things that I think are universal truths that should be the case. And one of those universal truths that I think should be true is that every company needs to have the ability to bring everyone together and collaborate as if they were in one room in a digital way while projecting their presence, to be able to see who's where and see who's talking to who and provide a visualization. And furthermore, if you look out into the future, what you're going to see is these people aren't just going to be talking to people. They're going to be talking to agents. They're going to be talking to AIs. And the AIs are going to communicate by voice. They're going to communicate by AI-powered videos. They're going to communicate via chat. And so an AI doesn't exist except inside the computer. And our vision for Rome was simply to say, look, for 100 years, people have put their computers inside of offices. And at Rome, we're trying to do the opposite. We wanted to put an office inside of a computer.
Jonathan, you guys actually do property management software. Your entire client base are real estate folks. How do you guys think about the role of digital tools and what you're building and what you're doing, and how does that operate from your perspective?
Yeah, so I believe like every company is going to become an AI company. And by that, it's right now, it's really like manual work. Like people are going in, they're entering data into spreadsheets. In reality, it's moving towards like each person logs in to like say and give a piece of software. You have a queue of tasks, and then you're doing those queue of tasks. Then the AI agents learn that. And imagine everywhere that there's an approval process, whether it's like accounts payable or whether it's like doing a move in, move out for property management or adding a journal entry, there should be an AI agent that does the job first and then a human in the loop afterwards that approves it. And then eventually, once it gets to like 99.99, whatever, like 5 nines or whatever, you get that whole thing. And then you just start having the agents do everything. So I feel like almost every single job in the world, this is my industry, but that's every industry. That's what I'm seeing. I used to be in VC for like a decade. Like every industry is going towards that. And like Rome's been a large part of that for us. I think we're the first group who are asked, you'll see the demo later, but we asked for Magic Minutes to be automatically turned on.
We did.
Which is basically transcribing every single meeting we have internally. Because my goal of that is like, imagine every single one-on-one I have, every single like internal meeting we have the transcript of everything all of us have said and have the summary of it as well. We can query it. And also we can create agents of ourselves. if someone wants to ask me a question, like, you have these thousands of meetings I had in Rome, just ask AI me, then ask real me. But you can ask AI me first, anytime you want.
And that's why when Jonathan called me a year ago, before Magic Minutes Always On had been released, and was like, yo, we need Magic Minutes to be automatically on for every meeting, I thought to myself, oh my God, the AI business revolution is here. And Ender is the perfect example of an AI first business that's going to not just become, have these properties to be able to follow things, but also to impact other businesses as well.
Yeah, there's this like, when Michael Dell has the quote saying, I need everybody back in the office because the hallway conversations are way more efficient, what he's ignoring is the fact that he sells servers to support the AI growth in the first place, all of which depends on whether or not those conversations are happening digitally, not just inside of a hallway conversation. Alex Booter Shapiro, shout out to Aaron Grau, who's in the crowd, but Alex is the CPO at Jasper AI. We were at a conference for CHROs, and she said, similar to you, Jonathan, like they record every meeting. Because even if people are together in person, like there's a value of having that knowledge extraction happen. And like the gasp of the crowd of like, oh my God, you record everything?
I know people, sorry to interrupt you, I know people that are in San Francisco that walk around with a microphone hidden in their jacket and they record every conversation, which may or may not be legal, but they still do because they want to inform their future LLM so that if they die, they're able to create the most accurate possible representation of themselves by having the best data set to do that.
It depends what state you're in.
Yeah, not going there, not going the full accurate representation of myself in some future state. But like, how do you guys think about that in terms of like the trade-offs between recording and privacy, and whether or not people feel like, oh, can I really share with you as my boss everything I'm thinking if everything's being recorded, or as a manager with my teammates? How do you balance those factors out?
I think it's very similar to how now we have cookies on every single web page. And you're kind of like, at first you're like, it's kind of weird when you understand what that actually entails, what that means. And then now we just, like, how many people just do like, yeah, accept all, or just accept like whatever these cookies, and just, like, I'll still go on the website. I'm not gonna be like, you're following me? Oh my God, you're following me everywhere I go, which is true. There's like companies that know everything about you without your SSN, just like knowing your first and last name, people could find a lot about you in the world. And for Magic Minutes, what I like about it is that it is there. There's a little red dot, so you know you're being recorded, and like everyone's aware of it too. And it is, I think I've sent you some of our transcripts that are pretty fun, that are NSFW, but
yeah, I saw that.
But overall, I feel people get used to it, and I think we're all like the new norm of the future is not the norm of like what is today. And I don't believe in stagnation. I believe in like actually pushing things forward. And you can also stop and shred Magic Minutes if you want to say things off the record and do things like that as well, which sometimes you have those.
Right. And I suggest what Jonathan is talking about is Magic Minutes, which today provides a summary and transcripts, and very soon, and this is what I was going to demo for you guys, it's going to be able to provide action items. And so it not only can detect what the follow-up action items from the meeting were, but who's supposed to do it and automatically assign them to a person or to an agent that's capable of executing that task itself. And the three things that an agent can do right out of the gate in Rome are schedule a meeting automatically by examining everyone's calendar, and even scheduling and emailing people outside of the company to be able to do that. Secondly, drafting an email. And third, following up, which is like a sort of a broad class of like interactions, but it could be making sure Brian knows about something, or make sure that Jonathan sends me an asset that I asked for. And it can use escalating tiers of ways of interacting and engaging with an employee to be able to do that, starting with a voice conversation or a chat or even a knock on the door.
So you guys are both deep into the AI space and understanding what's doing and how it's going. Vinod Khosla at an event I was at a couple of weeks ago said to basically a crowd that looks a lot like all of us, in 5 years, none of you are going to have jobs. And you're going to all need to find something else. What's your own prediction on what happens in terms of displacement, but also what people can do and what they need to do and companies need to do to adapt?
I feel that's, whenever people say AI is going to replace all jobs, I think that's like, there's like two flaws in thinking there. One is a lack of understanding of human nature. Like Keynes, a famous economist, would say like, oh, we're only going to work 15 hours a week in the future, like 100 years from now. And we're working a lot more than 15 hours a week, I'd say. I'd say more than ever. And that's people naturally want more, always want to do new things, and like there's a famous like Louis C.K. comedy sketch where he's like, we have these things in our supercomputers in our pockets, and we get upset when it's slow, right? We have all the world's information in our pockets, and like we don't really care, but we keep pushing for more and more and more. So that's human nature, which is like the beauty and kind of sadness, but also beauty of it as well, is that we're always pushing for more. So we will keep working, and then the second part of that is it's a failure in it's really like lack of imagination. Like, imagine the jobs that exist now versus 100 years ago. Right? Telephone operators weren't even a thing then, and then telephone operators have come and gone, and that was like the #1 job for women in the world for many, many decades. And now we have like, who would have thought there was be like a life coach or masseuses or like all these things that just weren't even a thing? But yeah, I'll pass up to Howard.
I could not have said that better than Jonathan did. The one thing I might add is that I have still yet to see any LLM with any taste.
Sorry, so put the mic up. Say it again.
I have yet to see an LLM with any taste yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a challenge there, and lots of room to go and grow. When you guys look forward, though, how do you think about, like, you guys are actually within Rome itself building tools as well as integrating with tools. What's the balance point that you guys try to strike between how do you integrate other people's third-party software and what do you build yourselves?
Well, I think there's a few different parts of the stack here. Clearly, the LLMs are seeing, the foundational models have incredible investments.
Get the mic up close.
We see incredible investments from the foundation models from the world's biggest tech companies, and what we have adopted at Rome is a kind of like you can bring your own model if you want. We have like a best like a good enough model that runs on Magic Minutes, and we try to keep a cost-effective kind of thing in there, but you could swap in your own if you wanted to use something different. Then up the stack, you can kind of go to the action items and the things like scheduling, and our sort of run-of-the-mill models that we use are good enough for those types of tasks. We also have, though, a thing called Coworker, which lets you configure your own agent and create your own human-in-loop process using workflow automations and agentic workflows with even Zaps and Zapier, and being able to trigger processes in Rome. And for that model is we do require you to put your own LLM in there, because people could be doing all kinds of stuff there, and they might want to have their own custom prompting and their own custom logic. That's actually what makes it like a custom kind of thing. So our strategy at Rome is to provide, think of the like office type like AI stuff. I mean, Rome is a virtual HQ, and it's an AI powered HQ with an office full of AIs that can do things like schedule meetings and tasks. But then for every company, like Ender, for example, as they build stuff out, they're going to have all kinds of bespoke AI agentic workflows that they're going to be built. And what we can provide is the front end to be able to have voice conversations, but all the logic and the data has to come from the company itself.
Exactly, yeah. So we're not going to build ChatGPT. We use something called Devin, which is like an AI coding tool. We're not going to build Devin. We're not going to build, the same way we aren't going to build Twilio, we aren't going to build Stripe, and we use all these tools internally. So it's more understanding what is your core competency and what is your core differentiator. And your core differentiator should be what you build, right? Everything else is like, use what's standard, use what's best in class. I'm not going to build AWS. Like, that's basically what would be building your own model, would be building your own AWS or Google Cloud. So it's pretty strong delineation between, and a strong line between like what we're like, okay, what are we doing? We're building our own like custom workflows and as well as the agents as well. It's like, okay, are we going to build our own agents? So we're going to use it with existing agentic technology that exists, that's best in class, and like then apply that to our own like stack.
So you guys are both startup founders. We've gone deep onto the digital side of the world and the AI-powered nature of it. But you're also trying to build teamwork and camaraderie. And Jonathan, you talked about the emotional aspects of human beings. What role you've got you got a chunk of your team here in Austin, but they're distributed all over the place. I know, Howard, your team is spread out all over. What role does physical gatherings play in how you think about how you build camaraderie and deeper relationships and all the rest of it? Jonathan, I'll let you take that first.
Definitely. I remember when we first started going remote, obviously in 2020, like everyone else was forced to. I read up a lot for how like GitLab operates and how like Automatic, which makes WordPress, operates, and even the most fully remote teams still have like on-sites And that's really, like, ours is next week, and we have our entire team come in, and people stay in Airbnbs. We have events every night, and we go out together. And you still want to see the people that you work with every day, and there is something that you can't really replace about being in person, and like actually like understanding and trusting and relating to other humans. But some of the best work I get done is when I work from home, right? It depends, like for deep work, like I actually want to be undisturbed at times, and like it's even employees who are in Austin's like, yeah, stay home if you have something really important and hard to work on. But I'd say it is really important to have that face to face for a team, but you don't need it every day.
Yeah, agreed.
You know what I would say is we do a quarterly all hands. We bring everyone together. We don't, at these all hands, and here's how, this is the key thing, we don't do any programmed like strategy type activities. That is the mistake that people make when they are distributed and they bring people together. They stack the calendar. We actually just rent a bunch of like open rooms and just hack. And we say, let's just work. If you're in sales, do the calls. Let's just sit next to each other and work. It feels great for the first few days, and you're like, wow, I'm so productive. By the end of the week, we're good for a while.
Yeah.
So that's what we need. Yeah.
There's been some studies done that like show 2 days together is actually great for a lot of people. By the third day, it's like, I'm seeing a lot of you. By the 5th day, it's like, oh God, get me out. I need to be home. But people have a tendency, to take those 2-day, 3-day events and overstuff the burrito, right? It's like, oh, we got to do the quarterly planning session and the strategy session, and I'm going to get you guys all revved up. So congrats. Don't do that is the message.
Yeah, we learned our lesson the hard way. It used to be like the on-site is like when you do all the strategy, and we're like, now we just work. We do it anytime.
And by the way, like when your company gets bigger, like and you're more experienced, you don't spend much time on strategy. You realize the best strategy is just to fucking do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Execute.
Sit with each other, have meals together, break bread. I don't think, unfortunately, Howard, we're going to get to do the demo.
That's okay.
I'm so sorry. Do we have questions, though? And I don't know if Danny's back there. Do we have questions from the audience?
I have before. I do have one thing to say, maybe, which is that I think if you want to see an incredible demo, walk over to our booth over there, because I will stand there and give it to you live, and it will fucking blow your mind. It is the workplace of the future. And I'm going to say something a little controversial, which I hope no one like leaves this thinking I'm a jerk or something, but I really implore upon you all as an industry to stop using the term remote. And frankly, I think the term running remote it needs to be changed. We talk about AI taking people's jobs, and we're worried about that. Let me just suggest that this conference will dwindle and dwindle and dwindle every year and cease to exist unless it itself evolves, and I personally think should change to running AI. And so it turns out that this whole debate about should the company be remote or not, let me give you a really good argument for why it doesn't matter and why every company should be distributed, which is the power of digitization and artificial intelligence. 100% of companies in the future are going to be AI powered. It is, and AI powered means it's fully digitized, and a distributed company by definition is fully digitized. That's where the agents exist, that's where the presence are, and so I would implore upon this industry to shift the words that we use to describe it away from remote and the negative connotations of that to the incredible promise of AI, which is about to transform civilization as we know it.
I did a presentation here 2 years ago that I dialed in for with Liam Martin emceeing it, where I said at the end of it, like, the words remote is one of the ones that like bugs me because it doesn't work for a lot of people and it has this sort of negative connotation. I do think there are companies that 2 decades in are still wrestling with digital transformation, right? And the answer is humans and digital together. We've already talked about the fact that like there's going to be jobs of the future that are very different. And the question is, are all of us adapting and learning these new tools? JJ Reeder, who was the first one up today, is an amazing case in point of that. JJ knows and understands how to lead digital distributed teams, but she also has adapted and started learning how to leverage AI. So at the end of the day, I think the answer is humans and ways in which we lead and using the tools effectively.
Yeah, and pretty much every company at scale, you have to be remote in some aspect. Like every large company has offices in different cities. So saying remote is almost like saying like we're a smartphone company. It's like, I would hope someone owns a smartphone.
Right.
Howard, Jonathan, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
It's been wonderful having you up
Thank
here
you.
and riffing for half an hour.